So in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do a simple landscape using one-point perspective. So in front of you, you should have either a new sheet of paper or open to a new sheet in your sketchbook. You're going to need a ruler, a pencil, and an eraser. So with one-point perspective, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to make a horizon line, just like we did with our basic boxes and complex cutouts. The only difference, the only time you should not do a horizon line is if you're doing an interior space. But because we're doing an exterior space outside, we'll start with the horizon line. So I'm going to go ahead and line my ruler up. Roughly in the center, I'm going to put this horizon line. Okay, so there I have my horizon line. The next thing I'm going to do is put in my vanishing point. Now again, your vanishing point can really go anywhere along this horizon line that you want to. We've been putting it in the center. You can try putting it a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left, completely up to you. I'm going to leave mine, I'm going to go a little bit to the left, but still fairly close to the center with my vanishing point. Again, if you want to label that VP, you certainly can, but you don't need to. I'll put that there for reference. Okay. So with an exterior space, there's a lot of different things you can do. So I'm just going to show you some simple things like how to put in a road, a sidewalk in a building, maybe a couple trees, just to get you started. And then if you choose to work in one-point perspective, you have the foundation for designing your own drawing. Okay, so again, in perspective, everything is either going to come back to the single vanishing point or it's going to be parallel to something else. Okay, and I'll explain that more as we go. But let's go ahead and start by putting in a road. So to put in a road, okay, we know that this is going to be our sky and this is going to be the ground. So to make a road, I'm going to come down from my vanishing point, kind of at an angle, and I'm going to draw a line. Now I'm going to press a little bit darker with my pencil so that you can see it on the video, but you can go ahead and draw a little bit lighter than what I'm doing. Okay, and then to bring a road out on this other side, we do the same thing. Okay, so now we have a simple road. Okay, it might not look like much more than a triangle yet, but we'll get there. We'll make it into a road. So let's say you want to add a sidewalk. So we're going to come back to our vanishing point and draw another line that's parallel with our first one. Alright, so coming down from that angle. Not exactly parallel because it's going back to the vanishing point, but it's alongside. Okay. And then I'm going to repeat that process on this other side as well. Try to space it out so it's about the same on both sides. Okay, so now I've got the start of my sidewalk. And you can add in a little curb if you want to, so there's like a step up to your sidewalk. Okay, that's pretty simple to do. We're going to come back to the vanishing point and then draw yet another line from here. Okay, so now this could be like a little curb stepping onto the sidewalk, and we could add some shading in a little bit to make that look a little bit more 3D. But I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Okay, so now what I have, I've got my road down the middle here. I've got a little sidewalk, a little curb, okay? And you could even extend the sidewalk out even more if you wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and leave mine as is. So maybe on your road you want some kind of center median lines. We could put those in there. I'm just going to line up my ruler and draw a few lines. They'll get a little bit bigger as we're going back in space. Okay. So now we got a road, we got a couple sidewalks. Okay, so you're getting the idea that this is kind of going back in space now, right? So let's try putting in a building. So putting in a building is very similar to just creating a basic box. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the side here, on the right side. And I'm going to line my ruler up and I'm going to draw just a straight vertical line that's going to go all the way down to the edge of my paper to just a little bit above my horizon line. Okay, so just like that. Then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to draw a horizontal line across the top, and you can decide how far you want yours to go. I'm going to end mine about there. And then I'm going to come down to the right side of this building, and I'm going to draw another line. Okay, so now what we need to do is we have this horizon line going through our building, so we need to erase that. Alright, you can still see mine a little bit, but that's okay. I can come back and always erase it more later. Alright, so now we need to make our building three-dimensional. So to do that, we're going to be bringing back the top of the building to the vanishing point. So notice, because I'm above the horizon line, my line is going to be going down. If I had a building that was below the horizon line, which we'll try over here, it's going to look a little different. So I will show you both so you can see. Now, because I know I don't want this building to really go all the way back, I'm just going to line it up and start putting it in the direction of the horizon line, but I'm going to stop about here. All right. Then, to finish out my building, I'm going to do one more vertical line right through here. All right? And then I've got another part of my horizon line that I need to erase. Okay, so now you've got just a simple building. And you could easily add a door to this or some windows. So let's go ahead and actually try to put a door in here, just so you can see what that would look like. So if you would want a door along this side, going along the sidewalk, you'd need to line the top of it up with your vanishing point. And you could go ahead and put a little line in there. And then all you'd need to do is just draw the line straight down till it meets the sidewalk. Okay. So then you'd have the start of a door. And granted, I realize it may look a little funny at first because it is going back in space, but as we add more things into our landscape here, it'll start to look normal. Now let's say you wanted to put some windows in there. Again, if you're above the horizon line, you're going to go up. If you're coming below the horizon line, you're going to lower your ruler. So just depending on where you want to add windows. Okay. Now if you want to add windows on this part of the building, they're going to be going straight across. So just know that. Okay. So let's say I want to put in a window at the top here, or maybe this could be a sign. Put in one line there. Here's another line. And then I just need to close that up. Okay. And this could become a window or it could become a sign. And then if you wanted to try a window on this side, you would just do one straight across like this. Okay. And again, this could be another window, could be a sign. You could add some more detail to the building. You could add bricks onto it. Do whatever you want to kind of spruce it up a little bit. So let's say you want another building maybe going over top of this one. To do something like that, what you're going to do, and this can be a little tricky because you're doing some overlapping, but let's say I want a taller building behind this one. So I'm going to start by drawing a line, just a vertical line. Then I'm going to connect the top of it. Okay, and then I'm going to bring it down on this side. So maybe this is like a high-rise building. If I have the start of a city going on, okay? Then I'm going to bring this back down to my vanishing point. And you'll notice the higher it's going up, the steeper angle that you're going to have. Okay, so maybe it's going a little bit like this. Then I can bring this all the way down. So now I've got two buildings kind of overlapping there. And again, I've got a little horizon line going through this building, so I'm going to get rid of that. So now I'm going to come over here to the left side, and I'm going to show you what it's going to look like if you did a building below your horizon line, because these two are rising above our horizon line, So let's do one over here that's a little bit lower so you can see what the difference is. So maybe you've got just a smaller building. I'm going to start off by just putting in kind of a partial rectangle here. I'm going to have mine go off the page. So it's coming down through here and I've got a line on top. Okay, so now what I need to do is I'm going to bring this point towards my vanishing point. I'm not going to go all the way to the vanishing point because I don't want my building to go that far back. Okay, but then I also need to bring this point back to my vanishing point. So this is a little bit more like those boxes that we were doing the other day. All right, so now I can trim my building up. So to trim this line here, it needs to be parallel to this line. Okay, that's where that parallel line piece comes in. Okay, so I'm going to draw this straight down. Notice how these two lines are parallel. Okay, and then to trim this back one up, I need a parallel line to this. So I know that that's going to go straight across. It's going to be a horizontal line. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that. Okay, so now you've got a smaller building that's below the horizon line. And you can put another building behind this one if you want to. Okay, we're going for a little bit more of a cityscape here. And you could certainly have less buildings and more other types of things. You could add benches along the sidewalk so it looks kind of like a park. You could add trees in there. Okay, so there's a lot of different things you can do. So I'm going to erase this horizon line again because I'm not going to see that through my building. And then I'm going to bring this down to the vanishing point. Decide how far you want that to come back. And then just go ahead and trim it up. Okay. Then I've got an overlapping building now. So you can see how I'm starting to stack the buildings. I could even add more into the background if I wanted to. Now let's say you wanted to add some details into the sky. Hey, you could easily, and actually I'm going to erase my VP a minute. So maybe I have like a sunset going on so you can see a big sun going down the horizon, okay? Or you could add some clouds in there if you wanted to. Okay. You could also add some trees. Okay, maybe you've got some trees. Just do a little simple tree here. Maybe you've got a tree kind of coming along the sidewalk, okay? And as they're going along the sidewalk, they're going to get smaller as you go back in space, okay? So you're just going to have to eye that a little bit if you decide to do something like this. Okay, just add a few trees in there. Keep them simple. Okay, so as they're heading back to the vanishing point, they're getting smaller and smaller. Okay, so this is just a very simple landscape or cityscape in one point perspective. Again, you could add more buildings to build it up more like a city, or you could have fewer buildings and you could treat it more as like a park or an open type of landscape.